How long is it usually, Lucille?
Depending on how many contestants. So I imagine each club has one. So there's 7 clubs in area 18.
Whoops. Whoops.
There you are.
I need a scary background. Here we go.
What does a watcher do anyway? What does the watcher do?
Watches the screens, making sure we look good, paying attention, not yawning.
Well, I don't look good, but I'm here. Hi, everyone.
Hi,
Angel.
Hi, Scary Stacy.
Are you the unknown Toastmaster?
I'm the secret surprise.
Hi.
You sound like you have a cold.
I'm feeling so poorly. I'm really not very well.
No.
I have a big photo shoot with teenagers coming up later, so I'm resting up.
Oh boy.
Still in bed, sorry, but I'm here in spirit.
We're glad you signed on.
Thank
All
you.
right. We are on. It is Happy Halloween time. Scary. Hi, everybody. Okay, so do we have all our let's see, Myra said that she's signing on. And so Paul, are you all set? You got all your positions and whatnot?
Is Charles on yet?
I don't see Charles.
I don't have Charles' phone number.
He knows he's speaking. He sent me his information.
Okay, sounds good. So hey, we are gonna have a fun time today as usual. And I don't have any specific announcements right now, but I'll have them towards the end. And with that, I would like to welcome you look like you're Gilligan going on vacation. So help me welcome Paul Barsh, our Toastmaster.
Thank you. Hey. Thanks, Deanna. Well, what do you think the theme of the day is? Could it be Halloween? Yeah, that could. Welcome, everyone. The theme of the day is Halloween. I want to make sure that we have everybody in their spot and then the roles, and then we all know what we're doing. I am Toastmaster. Kathy, your table topics. I see. Perfect. Charles there he is. Thank you, Charles. Charles, speaker 1. Devin, you're speaker number 2. Greg, you'll be evaluating Charles. Deanna, you'll be evaluating Devin. Jesse, you're the grammarian. Lucille, all counter. Perfect. Myra, timer. There you are. Perfect. I'm scrolling left and right. Stacy, general evaluator. Where's Stacy? There she is. Oh, that's spooky. That's kind of fun with the Aurora Borealis there. I love that. Megan is supposed to be our joke master, but I don't see her on. So maybe we'll go sans a joke today, unless somebody has a joke. Anybody have a joke? No? Maybe you can raise your hand later if you have a joke. And Angela, you have a triple roll. I see you have it in there. Ballot counter, chat monitor, and watcher. All right. So it looks like we have.
I think Jesse has a joke. Jesse.
Oh, Jesse. Let's hear a joke, Jesse. Go for it.
Okay. Okay, here we go. I'm going to kind of read this real quick. Lucille decided to give herself a big treat for her 70th birthday and stay overnight at a really nice hotel. And when she got there the next day, the clerk said, $250, please. And she said, it's not worth that. It's not worth $250. And he said, well, we have the breakfast. And she goes, well, I didn't eat the breakfast. And he said, well, it was there. You could have had it. And she said, well, but I didn't use it. And then he went on to say, we have all this entertainment, that came in last night. It's like world renowned. She goes, I didn't go see it. And he goes, well, it was there. You could have had it. And they went on like this for a little while. And then after the discussion, she finally decided to pay. Instead of $250, she paid $50. And he said, well, you paid $50. It's really $250. And she goes, yeah, that's correct, because I charged you $200 for sleeping with me. And he said, but I didn't. And she goes, well, too bad. I was here, and you could have.
Oh, that's great.
Very good. Very good.
Brilliant.
That's fun.
Hey.
And that's why we have a joke master. Awesome.
All right. Well,
Oh.
sorry. It took me a while to get on.
Megan, do you have a joke for us? You were supposed to have
Yeah.
the joke master. If you do, that's great. If you don't, that's okay too. Do you have a joke?
Yeah.
Okay.
All of this election is all mail ballots. Boy, the females will get upset about this. Oh, I forgot it.
Oh, it's
Something. It's about how all male. It's going to be an all male election.
All mail in ballot.
All male election.
Mail
That's
in.
true.
Male, the females sure are going to be upset.
Oh, that's good.
That was funny.
Well, there is humor
Something
with
like
both candidates.
Something like that.
Both candidates have humorous elements about them. So there we go. All right. And the word of the day, I want to introduce that is spooky. Spooky is sinister or ghostly that causes fear and unease. So use the word spooky in your table topics when we get to them. Let's start with our speakers, because I know our speakers are excited and they want to get the ball rolling. Our first speaker of the day is Charles Bradshaw. The title of Charles's speech is Voting Rights, the Multiple Century Marathon. Voting Rights, the Multiple Century Marathon. Here's the intro. As a recovering political hack, Charles has an acute interest in the elections and their results. As we approach election day, which I believe is 4 days away, Charles's speech will provide a history on how the right to vote has become more accessible throughout the years. While he is knowledgeable about elections, he wanted to share what he learned about how a growing number of Americans have participated in the process of selecting its leaders. The purpose of the speech is to learn or review basic research methods and present a well-organized, well-rehearsed speech on any topic. The time of the speech, timer, is 5 to 7 minutes. Please help me welcome Charles Bradshaw.
Thank you, Paul. Fellow Toastmasters, who here has ran a marathon? Anyone? All right. Let's see. I ran the Marine Corps Marathon through Washington, D.C., and I found it to be a very apt metaphor for how the right to vote got expanded within our country. The United States is a democratic republic. That means that citizens elect representatives to make policy decisions on their behalf. We give them our voices and they speak on our behalf. And my costume is, I'm just a bill. So that is the process that we delegate to our lawmakers. However, throughout the United States history, the path to bringing more people into that process has resembled a marathon instead of a sprint. It's had some fast and flat miles, but then it's also had some miles where it was very difficult or there was almost no progress made at all. In my research, I found that the path to the right to vote had two major components. The first one is citizenship and just being eligible to vote. The second part is actually the process of voting. To break it down into a timeline, I'd like to look at three separate phases. The first phase is the beginning of the Republic. It's not very complex, and like a marathon, the first half is really uneventful. In 1790, the Naturalization Act basically said that the only people who were citizens and eligible to vote were free white people of good standing, men, of course. And additionally, there was a big difference between the states in how much latitude they gave each person, each white person. Property ownership was a major thing, and it wasn't until actually 1856 that the property rights restrictions were lifted in all states, and that was in North Carolina. After the Civil War, we began phase two. Phase two of the marathon is really one of the most difficult. 13 miles, believe it or not, it sounds hard. It's not that hard as compared to miles 13 through 20. Mile 13, there's a change mentally, there's a change physically, and it's important to set goals. And the United States, after the Civil War, also set some goals for how they were going to expand the right to vote. The 14th and 15th Amendments were passed right after the Civil War, and it made all former slaves citizens. And then it also said that the 15th Amendment said that there could be no discrimination with regard to the right to vote based solely on race. I'm certain that we've all read in the history books how that just wasn't what happened. Poll taxes, literacy tests, and then outright intimidation stopped a lot of people from being able to vote. So there were a lot of promises made, but not necessarily a lot of promises kept. Also in my research, one of the things that I found was for people of Asian background, there were laws that were placed that limited their ability to become citizens as well. And up until the early 20th century, the only way that they could become citizens automatically was through military service. However, we moved through the mental toughness and the goal setting of the second phase, and then we get to the third phase. Let's think of it as mile 20. Mile 20, you're getting close to finishing, but it's hard and you feel every step. But with every step, you get closer to your goal, and it's become something that's actually tangible, it's realized. The same parallels can be seen in the voting rights activities of the 20th century. In 1920, we're at the century mark of this, the 19th Amendment to the Constitution gave women the right to vote. And in 1952, the McCarran-Walter Act granted all people of Asian background full citizenship, thus their eligibility was secured to vote. In 1965, the Voting Rights Act was made law, and in 1971, the 26th Amendment reduced the voting age from 18 to 21. There was a lot of progress in the century, and it actually ended with improved methods of voter registration through the Motor Voter Act, and also more ballot accessibility through multilingual ballots, so more people who are eligible to vote could participate in the process. I have good news and I have bad news for you. We all, as citizens, every election day are at mile 25. It's just like Groundhog Day, and we have to finish this mile, each and every one of us. This year, we have the pandemic as an additional hurdle to getting to the polls. Each time that we go to vote, we find ourselves with misdirection. We have promises that are made that with no politicians who make them with no real goal of actually fulfilling them. And then we also have to deal with ballots that are getting longer and longer every year. However, we owe it to the people who sacrificed so much and got us to where we are to run this last mile. Please don't delay, finish the race, and make sure your vote counts today. In the chat, I'll be posting where you can drop your ballot off early, and be safe, and don't forget to vote.
All right, thank you, Charles. Can I get 1 minute. We'll just take 1 minute for written comments. Charles, if you haven't, would you put your email address in the chat? Or you can just chat your evaluation privately to Charles on the Zoom. Okay, friends, let's wrap up our comments to Charles. Thank you, Charles. Our second speaker of the day is Devin DeVries. The title of her speech is Let's Play a Game. Let's play a game. The project is she's doing an icebreaker for a new path called Strategic Relationships. So she's back doing that icebreaker to start this off. The purpose of the icebreaker is to have Devin introduce herself to the club and learn the basic structure of a public speech. Timer, the time is 4 to 6 minutes. Please help me welcome Devin.
Thank you. Who here likes to play games? Show of hands. Great. Today is my icebreaker speech. But as many of you know, I've been in this club for 4 years now, which actually makes this my third icebreaker speech I'm giving here. So I was trying to think of a way to make it fun for both the people who have known me for years and for my new acquaintances. So I thought, what better way than the classic icebreaker game, 2 truths and a lie. So in just a second, you'll be seeing a poll will pop up on your screen, and you need to pick which one you think is the lie about me. And your choices are, I am a twin, I have visited every Disney park in the world, I'm a partner in an alcoholic beverage company. So I'll give you a few seconds to cast your vote. Okay, great. So we'll see the results. So first up, I am a twin. 58% of you thought that one was the lie. That one is true. I'd like you to meet my twin brother, Jack. We are fraternal twins. We're 4 minutes apart. I'm the older twin. It's been a fun experience. It's a question I get a lot is, what's it like to be a twin? Which my answer is usually, I don't know what it's like to not be a twin, but I would say it's pretty good. We were very different in personality and in looks growing up, though we've come a lot closer as we've gotten older. But it's interesting, people would often not even think we were siblings, much less twins. I think the funniest version of that was we joined a youth theater company. So we were meeting a lot of kids from all over San Diego County. And we introduced ourselves and we said we were twins, but it just happened to be April 1st. And they thought we were playing a prank on them for April Fool's Day. And it took us hours to convince them that we were in fact twins. And we are in the middle. There's 4 kids total in my family. So Jack and I are smack dab in the middle. The next one, I have visited every Disney park in the world. This one is the lie. Though I would say maybe it's a half truth. When I first joined Toastmasters, I was told if you make the topics of your speech something you're passionate and interesting about, it'll be easier to give the speech. So I quickly became known as the Disney person in this club because I chose Disney themes for, I think, 4 of the 10 initial speeches. I love Disney. And the reason I'm going to say this is a half truth is this is a major bucket list item for me. It is my goal to visit all the Disney parks in the world. Right now, I'm at 8 of the 12. So once we can travel again, I can start planning my trip to visit the parks in Asia. I'll give you some of my highlights so far. Disneyland is still my favorite of all the parks. To me, it's the original. It's the only park that Walt Disney walked in. So I think it has a little extra Disney magic. The prettiest of all the parks I've been to is actually Disneyland Paris. I think Disney is known for their details, but Paris just really took it a step further. At Walt Disney World, my favorite is Epcot. I love the World Showcase, or as my dad likes to call it, beers of the world. Because if you wanted to, you could have 12 beers and spend all day drinking at that park. And then my favorite roller coaster ever, so including non-Disney parks, is at Animal Kingdom in Florida, and it's the Expedition Everest ride. So if you're ever there, I highly recommend it. It's a very exciting roller coaster. And that leaves the last one. So I am a partner in an alcoholic beverage company. I thought that might throw some of you because I have talked about my work before, which is book publishing. And that is still my main business. But this year, some friends and I had the privilege of starting IRS Cocktails. We had some grand plans for 2020, but we got thrown a curveball. So we had to pivot a little bit, but I'm very proud of the fact that we were still able to launch the business this year. It took a lot of hard work, but we're very excited about our product. We make premium bottled cocktails. So the idea is takes away the hassle and the time of you having to prepare your own cocktails. So that is my new adventure that I'm working on. Very excited about that. And that's everything. So I hope that gave you some new insights into me and you learned something new about me today. And with that, I will turn it over to our Toastmaster, Paul.
Thank you, Devin. I'm set a minute for evaluations. Devin, I'm sure you'll put your email address in the chat, or you can chat over or send a private message over to Devin with your evaluation. All right. While we're wrapping those up, Myra, can I get a timers report, please?
I had Charles, well, they both qualified. Do you want me to tell you the, okay.
Sure, why not?
Charles at 6 minutes, 21 seconds, and Devin, like 6 minutes exactly.
Perfect. All right, so both speakers qualified. Would you take a moment and vote for best speaker and send that vote over to Angelus, please? All right. And now I'd like to introduce our general evaluator, Stacy, who will introduce our evaluators. Stacy.
Okay, I guess I'm not prepared here. I need to, let's see, the first evaluator is Greg, and Greg is going to evaluate Charles. So let me introduce Greg.
Ooh, yeehaw! Woo! Oops, where'd I go? Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Charles, your goal was to learn or review basic research methods and present a well-organized, well-researched speech, which you certainly did do. If I could see you somewhere. All I see is Paul. Anyway, I think you did a great job. You really put good words together. I liked your phrases and how you put things out. I really liked your marathon metaphor about how we made progress and also drawbacks in the same way you would when you were in a marathon. The way things are now with so much struggle to get to the vote, I wonder if we've really made that much progress personally. It's so weird for me. This is the first time I've done this on TV, as it were. And so it's really hard to tell a person's body language when you're sitting down. I don't know if we have any body language when we're sitting down. Also very hard to tell about eye contact, since we can't see where you're looking. But it did look like you may have been reading. I don't know if you were or not, but if so, it would probably be a good idea to try and do some of it off the cuff and do a little better job than I'm doing here, actually. But I really enjoyed it, and it was so interesting how long it took us to really get around to even try to make the vote work, and kind of disappointing that it doesn't look like they've done the best job possible. So it was very interesting. It was really well put together. It taught us some stuff, which I'm always happy to hear. And it was a really great speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Great job. Our next evaluator will be Lucille, and she's going to be evaluating Devin. So let me introduce, oh, it's not Lucy, it's Deanna. I'm sorry. I even wrote it down. And so Deanna is going to evaluate Devin. So let me introduce Deanna.
Thank you, Lucille. Okay, Devin, that was a wonderful speech. It was fantastic. And I can't believe that it was your third icebreaker already. I liked how you asked the question of who here likes to play games. That was a really good way to catch everybody's attention. And it's a really easy question, so everybody can answer it really quickly, like, oh yeah, I like to play games. It's a good way to start. And I also liked how you were able to introduce yourself to people who have known you since you started Toastmasters, as well as introducing yourself to people that are brand new. So that was a good way to combine it to everybody, so everybody would be really interested in listening to what you had to say. I also liked how you had the questions, very, very creative. I didn't know the right answer. I was trying to pick an answer, but I wasn't able to, since I was also a co-host. But it was good how you had the questions to really make us think. And I think you did a good job of duping us. I also liked how you mentioned when you started talking about Disney, you dove in a little bit deeper, and you not only told us about how you like Disney, but Disneyland and all the different parks, but how you like your favorite one, and also which one was the prettiest. And I also liked how you also told about the Disney World, how you liked Epcot being your favorite of all the Disney worlds, and your favorite roller coaster. So it was nice how you went into all the detail. The only thing I could think of improving was the conclusion seemed a bit abrupt. I'm not quite sure how you could have added to the conclusion, but maybe playing another game at the very end, but just a little bit more on the conclusion would have been a nice wraparound. But overall, I couldn't think of anything else to make it better. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanna. I will turn this meeting back over to our Toastmaster, Paul.
All right, thank you, Stacy. Can I get a timers report, Myra? How'd we do?
They both qualified.
Excellent. Would you please take a moment and chat over your vote for the best evaluator to Angelus? And now it's time for everyone's favorite time, table topics. And presenting our table topics today, using the word of the day, spooky, is Kathy.
Woo-hoo! Hello, everybody. Well, my topic today is, of course, Halloween. Remembering what we did as we were growing up on Halloween. We had some good experiences and we had some not good experiences. So I would like to share one of my favorite ventures, and was when my mother made my first costume as a pirate. And I was excited, you know, she was a seamstress. So I'd like to ask Jessie, what was your favorite Halloween costume as you were growing up?
Thank you for the question. I think my favorite Halloween costume, the one that comes to mind, was simply the one we made at home out of old white sheets to become a ghost. It was really quick and we could put it together fairly fast. And all we needed to do was get the eyes where the eyes actually were, and then you were off and running. And you could dress it up if you wanted to with even more color, paint. And I don't know, there were probably a few times when Mother actually even gave up a good sheet just so we could have a Halloween costume. And I hope she got good enough to save her sheets from year to year. That part I don't really remember. But we always came home with a great big stack of candy because we actually hit almost every house in the small town that we had access to. And that's my Halloween. Thank you. Oh, and I didn't say spooky, so I'm out. Thank you.
Well, I want to ask Corey, what was your worst Halloween experience growing up?
Thank you for that question. It was actually a good experience and then became a bad experience. There was a costume that my mom made, and it was a gorilla costume. It was a full gorilla, super hairy outfit. It had the hands, had the face. I looked like a legit gorilla. Scary, spooky, terrifying. And this year, for some reason, the weather was extremely hot. And I remember just sweating, just like I couldn't go to another house anymore. It was so crazy, ridiculously hot that I couldn't maintain. And so I had to take the mask off. And then I went to houses without the mask, and people were very confused on what I was. Just a hairy dude. I don't know. But it was, it seemed like it was going to be the best costume, and it became not the best costume.
Thank you. Also, you mentioned about going trick-or-treating, and when I was growing up, we always got, when I was smaller, a pillowcase, and we would fill it up. So I would like to ask Deanna, what was your favorite Halloween candy when you were growing up?
Actually, Kathy, did you want to ask somebody else who doesn't have a speaking role today?
Okay.
Maybe Jerry.
Jerry, that's the person. Jerry, what was your favorite Halloween candy when you were growing up?
Jerry, you're on mute.
As far as Halloween, it's one of my favorite holidays. And growing up, we used to get candy, and I would like in particular these little Hershey bars that were called the Special Darks, and really liked them. You know, you'd get them and you'd sort through them and you'd find them, and they were really great. So I think that was one of the things with Halloween. But they had some candy too when I was growing up that you never see anymore, like these little wax bottles and lips, these wax lips, and they had blackjack gum, just weird stuff that doesn't nobody has anymore. But Halloween's a great holiday for kids and for families, because you know, where else do you get free candy? You can knock on doors and they'll just hand you free candy. So I think it's a fantastic idea, and I think that it's something that everybody should enjoy. And unfortunately, with the pandemic, it's probably going to be a little muted this year, but I think it's a great time. Thank you. Oh, and spooky. It's a spooky holiday.
Well, my favorite candy growing up was the Almond Joys. I used to pick them out of everything, and even my kids, you know, pumpkins, I used to take out all the Almond Joys. So I can ask Stacy. Can I ask Stacy a question?
You can.
Okay. I would like you to describe, if you were to carve a pumpkin, what would it look like?
Oh my goodness, that's pumpkin carving is not my forte, although I do enjoy carving one every year. But I'm kind of stuck in a rut, and I always do the same dumb thing, and it's just like the little triangular eyes and the mouth with the teeth. And I love that people come up with really creative ideas for carving pumpkins. And I just saw some this morning on Facebook that my neighbor's grandkids had carved. And I was like, wow, how come I can't carve something that cool? So I guess the next time I carve a pumpkin, I'm going to try to think out of the box. I even posted a pumpkin that my next door neighbor's daughter did, and she actually strung string over the eyes, over the mouth, and it just looked really scary to me. So I really commend people who are thinking outside the box on carvings, and I hope people continue to carve, because I think that's a really neat art form. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I remember carving pumpkins with my kids, and we would have all the special tools and this and that, put a candle in the middle, and then in the middle of the night, the pumpkins would be trashed in the middle of the street. When we were talking about treats, I remember going trick-or-treating, and we go to the house that they used to work for a dental office, and we got toothbrushes as a treat. Now that was pretty bad. So I'd like to ask, can I ask Angela, what was the worst treat that you got in your sack?
Hi, thank you, Kathy. I actually didn't start trick-or-treating until I was like 13 years old. And this was because my family is kind of Catholic, and they believe that Halloween isn't really a thing that kids should be celebrating. But I remember my first time trick-or-treating, and we went to this golf course near where I used to live, and we got toothbrushes, business cards, And I got home and I saw that I got a bunch of business cards in my bag. And I was like, why am I getting business cards? Like, what am I going to do with these? And I think I understand how people want to advertise their companies and everything, but you're giving them to kids. So I don't know why people would do that. I don't see anything spooky for Halloween and anything you could give to kids like that. Thank you.
There was a couple of parties that I used to go to when we were kids, the neighborhood kids, and we dress up. And one of the first games that I played was take the apple out of the barrel. And I remember the kids would like just put your head further in there and you'd be all wet. So I'd like to ask Greg, did I ask him a question? Greg, have I asked you something? Or what kind of game did you play if you went to a Halloween party?
I don't really remember going to any Halloween parties, but I was raised in a little tiny town in Oregon, 300 people. And the favorite thing to do on Halloween for a lot of the kids was to tip over the outhouses, because hardly anyone had indoor plumbing. Only two places had indoor plumbing. So kids like to go around and turn over the outhouses, which wasn't too much fun if you happened to be in one at the time. My brother and his friend decided to hang a dummy off of the top rafters of a bridge that runs over the Klamath River in Keno, Oregon, which they did. And it really looked pretty realistic, like a guy hanging. And a Greyhound bus came along and almost ran into the river. They would have been in really terrible trouble, except nobody ever found out who did it. But I know.
How are we doing on time?
We have time for at least a couple more. Okay. So go for it.
So I'd like to ask Jerry, describe your favorite part of a tour in a haunted house.
I already went.
Oh, you already went? I'm sorry.
Somebody else.
Okay. How about Angel?
How about Myra?
I didn't go.
Myra? Okay, I was.
Myra and Angel.
Okay. Myra? Did you hear the question?
No, could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What would you describe when you were going through what your favorite part of a haunted house is when you went on a tour of a haunted house? What was your favorite part?
So I never went on any haunted houses as a kid. I just started going as an adult. And I really haven't done that many because I'm not very big into scary things. I'm kind of a scaredy cat that way. But I would say that my favorite part is probably when they chase me. And it's just because I don't know. I like running away. So that being my favorite part. But thank you for the question. Oh, I didn't say spooky.
Why didn't say spooky?
Spooky.
That's all I have. I really must.
Okay. That was really, really fun. Thank you, Kathy. I remember that same dentist around the corner. I would get toothbrushes. And one of the loser items I would get is raisins. I mean, seriously. Who wants a box of raisins for Halloween? That's sad. Well, thank you so much for that, Kathy. Can I get a timer's report for our speakers? Myra?
Everyone qualified in terms of time.
Excellent. And Jesse, this is the tough one. Who used the word of the day?
Well, we came up a little short. Corey definitely used it, and so did Angela. And Jerry threw it in right at the end. Really, that was it, unless somebody can correct me who said it and I didn't catch it.
That's spooky.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We have Corey,
Angela,
and Jerry.
And maybe Jerry.
Yeah, let's throw Jerry in there because that'll give us 3. So please vote for your favorite table topic speaker from Corey, Angelus, and Jerry. Okay, send those over to Angelus. And let's start with our reports. And Jesse, let's just keep it on you. Let's have the grammarian's report for the day. What interesting use of language did you hear?
You bet. So there were a few. And Charles, he said, a lot of promises made, but not necessarily a lot of promises kept. I thought that was a nice phrase to catch the attention. And Devin said a couple of things. I loved it when she said extra Disney magic. And she also said, oh, the name of the company, Premier Bottled Cocktails. I think that's the name of it. Anyway, I think that's a catchy name. Deanna said, really made us think. Catherine said, who's talking about, made me visualize the days when we were doing games at Halloween parties, take the apple out of the barrel. Angela said, business card, what am I going to do with these? I could just see that. What a disappointment. And Greg talked about tipping over the outhouses. And then Myra said, I like running away. And Paul, you said, the loser item I get was the raisins. And I can relate to that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jesse. Yeah. Lucille, how do we do on our awe counter today?
Thank you, Paul. So starting with, you didn't have any. Charles, 1 and. Devin, 1 and. Greg, you've got 3 3 1 3 so's, 3 buts, 1 and 1 false start. Deanna, you have 4 ahs, 2 2 ums, 2 so's, 4 repeats. Kathy, you have 3 3 us, 1 1 2 and. Jesse, you have 1 2 and. Corey, you have 1 1 but, 1 and 3 repeats. Jerry, you have 4 4 ahs, 1 so, 1 and. Stacy, 2 buts and 1 and 1 you know. Angelus, you've got 1 so, 1 but, 2 and 1 like. And Myra, you have 2 ahs and 1 and. For me, the so, but, and and are a little bit hard too, but I'm paying attention where I mark you down for the and. If the sentence, you can have just sent and appeared and start without doing an and. So thank you.
Thank you. I love thorough awe counter reports. That's just me. I think they're very valuable. Stacy, would you give us the general evaluator report for today, please?
I most certainly will, and it's not going to be scary or spooky. How's that? I believe we had a great meeting. We started pretty much on time, and I believe Halloween is a really great theme, and the word spooky is a great word of the day. And everybody's roles were filled pretty well, I think, and everybody did great. Both evaluators did great evaluations. Both speakers had interesting speeches that were involving the audience and, you know, helping us to learn more about you. So I appreciate the speakers, you know, efforts in doing a speech. Myra did well as a timer, and I know it's kind of new to you, but you're doing really well. Jesse, as a grammarian, caught some really cool phrases. Kind of disappointed on the word of the day that even I forgot to use it. You know, I wish I could remember. Sometimes I go. So we only had 3 people use the word of the day. I guess we all need to kind of work on that. Other than that, bobbing for apples. That was, I remember when she mentioned that, I was like, I know it's called something. It's called bobbing for apples. And that's what I have for my general evaluation. And thank you very much. I'll turn it back over to our Toastmaster.
All right, thank you, Stacy, for that. It's time for our awards. So Angelus, would you come off mute and would you read off our award winners?
For speaker, I got Devin. For evaluator, Deanna. And for table topics, I got myself. And I promise I did not do this because I'm ballot counter.
Good job. Awesome. All right. Well, we're doing really good on time. That concludes this portion of the meeting. I'm going to turn things back over to our president, Deanna.
Thank you, Paul. What a fun meeting. So let's see, can we get a picture? Can somebody do a gallery view and do a snapshot of all of our spooky costumes and our word of the day? Greg needs to find his little, his nose. Okay, all right, ready? Who's gonna take the picture?
I can.
Okay, thank you. Let's go, 1, 2, 3, spooky!
Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, so let's see, I wanted to share my screen. And today, I want to give credit. Last week, I didn't do this. So Angelus did her icebreaker last week. So I just wanted to recognize her. And then also Myra did her icebreaker last week. And today we have Charles. Charles, you said it was the 3rd project. If you can unmute, I'm not sure if it's this one. Charles, can you unmute yourself and tell me if it's this one or if it's...
Yes, actually it's, yeah, I've done the 2 speeches and an evaluation, and I did researching and presenting today.
Okay, all right, great, fantastic. So that completes your first level then. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yay!
Yay.
Okay, I'm not posting. For some reason, it's not doing the check marks. Okay, I'll put that in later. But congratulations, finishing level 1. Fantastic. And then Devin, we got you on your icebreaker. So congratulations, you are back on the board. I'll put that on there. Okay. And Charles, I'll fix this when I'm offline.
It's okay.
And then the next thing I want to share is, let me just stop this one. For next week, let's see, share my screen again so we can do next week. Next week is going to be November the 6th. And I also want to let you guys know that on November the 13th, we're going to have a different Zoom link because Devin's not going to be able to make it. So we want to make sure that we have the login correctly. So that will be the 13th, the 2nd Friday of November. But next week we have Pat as the Toastmaster, Devin, your table topics. We need a speaker 1, evaluator 1, evaluator 2. So if you could just unmute yourself and shout out what you'd like to do, that'd be great.
What's that?
Speaker 1? Do I hear a speaker 1?
I'll be evaluator.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's Kathy, right?
Yes. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. That was evaluator 1. All right. Need a speaker, evaluator, odd counter, joke master, ballot counter, watcher.
I'll be odd counter. Deanna, this is Paul.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
I'll be joke master.
I can do ballot counter.
Thank you, Jesse. And Lucille. Speaker 1, evaluator 2.
3 votes.
Can I be a watcher? Can I be a watcher? This is Kathy. Can I be a watcher also? An evaluator, or is that too much?
It's too much.
Yeah, I think you could be watcher.
Oh.
And that reminds me, I think Angelus, we'll let you do the report, Angelus, as soon as I'm done here. All right, still need a speaker, an evaluator 2. Speaker. Anybody?
Would Brooke be ready for icebreaker?
I don't know.
Okay. I want to ask her. Or either Myra for her second speech. Just a suggestion. Think about it.
I have to work on my speech 1. I know that I have to work on it, but
all right, I'll send out an email and hopefully somebody can sign up for something. Okay. Oh, so let's see. I'm going to stop sharing. And Kathy, no, not Kathy. Angelus, did you want to do a watcher report?
Yes, I'll do it. I mean, from what I've seen that other watchers do, they just analyze everything, I guess. But so from everything I've seen today, I've noticed that everyone had good Zoom etiquette, you can say, and I like the way how Stacy and Kathy used their like backgrounds with like the theme of today. I thought that was pretty cool. And everyone's costumes are pretty cool too. So that's my report.
Great job. That's your first time being watcher. Fantastic.
I vote for the best costume for today.
Yeah?
Should we do
you
that?
want to specifically?
I'm just kidding. I don't know if you guys want to do that. I'm just saying. But I vote Deanna.
That's kind of fun. Not that many people participated though.
I just wanted to say that I chose this costume. I haven't got a lot, but I chose this costume because I think this is something that a lot of us can relate to with quarantine. With quarantine, we're all becoming pigs.
I like that cute little snout that you've got and the ears. Anybody do anything fun for Halloween?
Today is my husband's birthday.
Happy birthday, Tommy.
Yep.
All right. Well, Stacy, I'm sorry. Did you want to say something?
Oh, tomorrow night is full moon and it won't happen again for 19 more years. For it to fall on Halloween is very rare. So go out and look at the full moon tomorrow night.
All right.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Do that. All right. Well, everybody have a spooky weekend. Eat a lot of candy and stay safe out there.
And brush your teeth.
And brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. All right.
Bye. Thank you for a great meeting.
Bye.
Bye.